The vile abuse that they got online, especially, was awful, wasn't it? Some of the comments, and I'm glad they addressed it. I think it was Saka, and then some other news outlets as well, Sancho, I think, as well, just saying all of these like things, all the comments that have been said, registering out the people's names and all that sort of stuff immediately. Sorry, that all came out from them. The fact that he's already stepped up to go and take a penalty just shows how much courage he has. So then I give him some respect for that. And if he misses it, he misses it. But if he scores, he's everyone's hero at the end of the day, isn't he? So you can't have it both ways. So if he does miss, fair enough, it's a final. We've been waiting 55 years. I know it's a lot to take in, but it's a 19-year-old taking a penalty. Like, this is going to set him for the rest of his life, unfortunately. But he'll bounce back. I know he will. Saka's great. He's a great player. We'll come on to what the social media platforms have to do. But what were your initial thoughts when you saw all these comments?
I mean, it's just disgusting. As you said, like, he's got enough courage to even play in a European final, never mind take a penalty to keep England in the game. So that in itself would have took a load of courage. And then, obviously, if anyone else would have taken the penalty and missed, maybe even a Harry Kane, then I think he would have got abuse, which in itself isn't good. But he wouldn't have got any racial abuse, like as much as Rashford, Sancho, and Saka got. So it's just disgusting, and as well, it's terrible that now because of this, it's just such a small percentage of the England fans, as they like to call themselves, who have been doing this racial profile and racial, like any racial abuse, and that's just putting a bad representation on England fans as a whole. And I can tell you that 99.9% of the England fans like wouldn't do anything like this, but then that 0.1% is just put a bad reputation on us, and it's ultimately what has, I don't know, just ruined the whole experience. Like, we should be very proud of the squad we have, very young players and everything, but the fact that they've got so much abuse from just missing one penalty that probably doesn't really matter at the end of the day for anyone's lives. And the fact that they are kind of ruining every like Marcus Rashford and Sancho and Saka's mental health and everything just because they missed one penalty is just atrocious. I think he got an assist versus
Denmark for Sterling's goal.
yeah.
But either way,
Everyone's hero then, isn't he?
Everyone's celebrating the goal. Like, all those fans who have racially abused him, they've all gone and celebrated that goal when Sterling and Saka have both put it in the net. But when Saka misses a penalty, we're all against him, are we? Put it on the penalty. Judge it by a penalty. Like, if somebody misses a penalty, I don't go, oh, you missed the penalty because of da-da-da-da. I miss the penalty and say, Kane missed the penalty because it was an awful penalty. Like we were saying before, it was keeper's level height. We don't go into the background and say, oh, it's because they live there, it's because they're from here. We don't do any of that. Like, why do you feel the need to bring these things out when, like, going against somebody or having a go at someone? Why is it in your mind? I don't get it.
I think they just want something to latch onto. Like, they want something to blame, which they can get their anger out at. And I think if the first thing that comes to your head when you feel angry about someone is the color of their skin and their ethnicity and everything, you just shouldn't be interested in football at all. And we just don't want you.
Yeah, exactly. I think with Rashford as well, all of those people who have racially abused him online, all of the kids that their kids that he's fed, no respect for him either.
And they probably did have respect for him when he was scoring all the goals in the friendlies and then playing so well in the other tournaments we've had, like 2018. So I just don't get what's going on in their heads.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it led to other things such as Rashford's mural in Withington that got decimated. Really, that was some stuff drawn on it, really horrible stuff. A community that came together and said, "This isn't right," and I saw people with banners, flowers, messages on the wall to cover it up, and that just shows how much we've come on as a country, really. Because if you think about that before, maybe people might have not been bothered, but with everything that's happened with George Floyd, BLM, it's really sprung something in everyone's head, really, hasn't it? To say this isn't right, and we'll fight against these racists, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, also because the football, we've all come together for this past month, and we're all celebrating as equals. And then, when something like bad happens to something that you believe in this case, like Marcus Rashford, the memorial being vandalized, basically, then everyone shows their good side. So
And then there's been a couple of people who have been locked up and found out, which is good. I know that Leighton Orient banned one of their fans, but I only saw it was for 3 years. Only 3 years. Surely you would be getting a lifetime ban to say, this isn't right. This sets the standard for all our fans in our club and all of our country. Surely a lifetime ban sends a message out. A 3 year ban doesn't send a message out.
yeah, exactly. Like as you said, it just doesn't send the correct message that we should be showing to these people. That it's not welcome in football. It's not like, oh, you're a racist this time, but you can come back in 3 years and just do it all over again. We should be banning the people that are found out to have like racist slurs, and we should be banning them from every football match, just not just every one that they can attend, because their football team. We should just be eliminating it completely from football. And sadly, you can't really do that on social media. Just it's because it's always going to happen that way. But if you can ban people that you've been found out to be racist, and then ban them from like football matches and everything, that'll be another step forward in the right direction.
Yeah, and what gets me is with the social media platforms, you can take down or warn a viewer of a post that's horrific, like an animal's leg that's been chopped off or something, but you can't take down messages. You're saying to me you can do that but can't take down messages. It doesn't make sense. And
Yeah,
the amount of comments there were, I know there was like a fair deal, don't get me wrong, but there was enough. I'm pretty sure there's enough to get rid of. Like you said, if it's in the 1%, 0.1% minority, there'll be a lot, but you can get rid of them. All you need to do is, and I've seen this in programming and stuff like that, you select the words that could be available to do it. Integrate that into your app and say, you can do it on Twitch. I've been able to do it on Twitch and YouTube. If somebody comments something not nice, I can say, so the F word, say for instance, I put the F word in and say, nobody can comment this. When it comes up in the chat and somebody tries to say it, doesn't allow them. They get a 3 minute ban off the stream, say for instance. And that's just me doing it. That's not me as a developer. That's me just putting it in there on Twitch by myself. So for the social media platforms to say, well, they've not even said anything to be honest, but for them to not take any action on it when I've simply just done that, it's a bit weird. Do you not think that you could just highlight a couple of words and emojis that have been used? It's not that hard.
yeah. Obviously, like I think a lot of like even the FA, if they came in contact with like Facebook, Twitter, and all of these, and said, if we could you do us a favor, and like if you find any racism or anything like that on posts to do with football, then just ban them for life. Like report them to the FA, and so they can take matters into their own hands. And as you said, there's no reason they can't just add it into the algorithm to locate these people who have shown racism towards some people, which they might argue that freedom of speech and everything, but there's a difference between freedom of speech and just being racist.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, there's definitely something they could do, but it's whether they do it or not.
Yeah, I think the UK government, I know, I saw Boris say something and they're trying to put something in law basically for the social media platforms to say you're not allowed to do this and you're going to have to make
Yeah,
changes, which is very, very good by the government. I think that the social media platforms by themselves, this has been highlighted. We've spoke about this all year with from Twanzebe Martial to the centre back for what West Brom who scored an own goal. We've had it, and we've all said once those players have made a mistake, we all know now that they're going to get racially abused online. It's not good to think that way, but that's the way that we're having to think now because unfortunately, that's those people online are horrible.
yeah, it's not getting any better. Like it's being highlighted more. We've seen more things happen because of it, but nothing's really like there's no legislation that's being put in place by any of the social media platforms to make it stop. Like we've had it highlighted by Sky Sports and everything. Like this person's been racist, and there's been racist comments on this player's posts and all that. But there's not been any real legislation outside of football really. And I think if the social media platforms can put something into place, then I think that will benefit it much more.
Yeah, and people need to remember this isn't just a football thing. You might see it highlight in football, but this is a worldwide, this is a global issue. So
Yeah.
for the social media platforms to say and come out and say, well, it's quite hard because there's a lot of fans um, saying all these horrible stuff, and we have to try and get it down. Then what about the rest of the world? What about all the other sports? American football, NBA, rugby, they could all get racially abused online. We're not, us as a football community, aren't just saying, just do it for us. We're saying, do it for the rest of the world and every single sport and every human being in the world. So we'll have to see what happens. What do you think will happen? Because I've heard IDs on social media. We have to have shown ID now, but then that goes against the whole privacy thing. What do you think?
I think the only way it's really going to stop in football is if like the social medias are able to highlight the people that have racially abused anyone really, and then have an involvement in football and put some like ban them from every football stadium in the UK that they have the rights to ban them from for a lifetime. It's hopefully. And then as more people start to get banned and everything, more people will see that, like, if they do this, then bad things will happen to them, and they won't be able to go and watch their favorite team play. So I think that'll be what will eventually cut it down. But like, it's not really ending racism, but it's definitely um, flattening it down in the football community.
Taking the knee. This just shows how much critical it is now, because some people are saying, "Oh, it's getting a bit repetitive. Is the message still going out?" But after this has all happened, it still shows the message is relevant, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think at the start of the season, even then, we were still talking about it, and then we come to the end of the season, nearly the start of a new one, and it's not really changed at all. And I think that's a big thing to look at.
Yep. So, I mean, we hope they keep taking the knee. We hope the message is still going out there. And yeah, we hope something happens with the rest of the racist fans that have put out this vile abuse.